Right, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak, Raj, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom and Shabbat Shalom. Right, for 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get in advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. Right, the name or the word Satan in Hebrew is Shaitan, which means adversary. Ignorant means to not know. All right, and so which plays along with him getting advantage of us, because if you don't know, all right, he can pull the wool over your eyes. All right, his devices. Well, we're about to talk about them. So I have this here. This is the actual from Business Wire, but it's some like I can't. Well, I won't say it's the actual Synchron site, but I mean somewhat like that. But anyways, so and this is not really important. I just came to this website, just to poke around, and I saw a couple interesting things here. So it says Synchron debuts first thought-controlled iPad experience using Apple's new BCI human interface device protocol. And if you follow my videos, we've already talked about this. So this isn't breaking news or anything like that, unless you just haven't heard about it yet. All right. So in that case, it would be video of Mark controlling the iPad using this. Let's play this. Bear with me 2 seconds, because I got my hold on, because I'm not sure if it'll pick up. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not sure if it'll pick up because I have my Bluetooth. Okay, just I'm gonna turn my Bluetooth off is what I was trying to say, because a lot of times you record with your Bluetooth, it won't pick up. So just give me 2 seconds. All right, so we should be able to hear it now. So let's go and play. Oh, now you don't want to play.
I have been diagnosed with ALS. I received the Synchron Stentrode BCI implant in August of 2023. Whatever time I have left, I wanted to be able to use it to help further technology, to help further understanding. Yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal.
It's people like Mark who inspire us at Synchron to make not only brain-computer interfaces, but all technology be smarter, more accessible, and intuitively usable. Hi, my name is Peter Yu. I'm the Senior Director of Neuroscience and Algorithms at Synchron. Synchron's vision is for brain-computer interfaces to become ubiquitous, like the keyboard and the mouse.
My name is Kurt Hagstrom. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at Synchron. Synchron is a medical technology company that's developing a minimally invasive brain-computer interface. We're making history as the first BCI company to be compatible and adopt Apple's BCI HID approach. All technology today relies on some kind of motor function, but due to disease, whether it's ALS or whether it's trauma such as spinal cord injury, you lose that bodily function.
So BCI stands for Brain-Computer Interface. And Brain-Computer Interface is a technology that allows us to translate your will to move into digital actions. So people like Mark, he can't move his hands, but he can still think about doing those movements. That means his brain is still sending those signals down to his body. So using brain-computer interfaces,
Right,
you can capture that signal.
Let me stop right there. And the last guy we talked about dealing with Synchron was this guy named Rodney with ALS. Okay. And he's basically showcasing you the same thing that they show you with the actual microchip that they want to put into your hand, okay, where certain things can be accessed through the chip that's in your body. This is just, it's the brain thing. It's more so dealing with your neurological pathways, body parts and things of that nature. All right, and so, as a matter of fact, let me just play it back. Let him say it again, if I can.
Translate your will to move into digital actions. So people like Mark,
because I didn't go back far enough, but he said basically, he was saying that your brain, which we talk about this all the time, all right, your brain will still send signals to your legs and your toes and your feet to get up and walk and move, but maybe you're paralyzed from the legs down, from the waist down. All right, so your brain will still send the signals because that's just what your brain is going to do, but your legs are not going to respond back, okay, because they're paralyzed, okay? So the brain is constantly sending this, because it's not the brain that's damaged. It's the nervous system and, whatever else it may be. All right. So the brain is still going to fire off those neurological and those electrical signals, but your legs are not going to move because, there's a pathway that's broken. And that's what Esau is doing with his devices. He's taking those pathways and restructuring them through his technology. Okay. And this is what the scriptures talk about being called lying signs and wonders. Okay. He's doing a miracle, but on the left-hand side. All right. Which you can find that in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2.
He can't move his hands, but he can still think about doing those movements. That means his brain is still sending those signals down to his body. So using brain-computer interfaces, you can capture that signal, then we can translate it through a machine learning model into a digital device control.
See?
Mark is part of our first FDA-approved trial. He received his Stentrode in 2023.
This allows you to connect to an iPhone,
Now, Mark was the first trial, and it says it was proved, was another thing I pointed out, by the FDA. Why is the Food and Drug Administration a part of this? Okay. It makes you think about a lot of different things, like why is this person a part of this? Why is this person, I know all about computers, is over here talking about farmland and food. Like what? But this is the devil, how he operates. He thinks he's the smartest. He thinks he's going to control everything. And if you're not aligned with what he thinks and what he says and what he says goes, you'll be penalized for it. And when they start to issue and establish their digital system and their microchips and things of that nature, it's easier for them to take that authority, all right, over the people, all right, more heavier, because now they can just cut you off, okay, from society. For the people that take the devices, of course, they can just shut you off. All right. And now what? You can talk all you want now. We don't care. You have no access to anything, all right, in this world because you can't. All right. And then what happens? The person they're going to probably spaz out, go and commit a crime, and, so on and so forth. All right. So it's just a spiral from there.
iPad, giving people like Mark autonomy and independence back. This is Synchron's BCI called the Stentrode, and it looks much like a normal stent, but it actually is a circuit board on the surface. So this Stentrode navigates up into the superior sagittal sinus, was actually the main vein that goes over the motor cortex. This is the electrode array that collects the intent to move.
This means we can record high-quality brain signals without needing to perform open brain surgery.
A key factor to making technology accessible and easy to use is a human interface device standard, or HID.
It's simply a shared language between computers and input devices for them to talk to each other very easily. Just think about when an A key gets pressed on a keyboard. HID is the way that message gets interpreted. It's just a way for keyboards, mice, game controllers, and whatever other input devices to talk to computers very easily. Now, every OS ships with a generic HID driver, meaning that every manufacturer can speak the common language and directly interface with the computer. Similarly, Apple made an HID for brain-computer interfaces, BCI HID.
This allows all BCIs to talk to computers.
Just like how keyboards and mice can talk to any devices using HID, so can BCIs now through BCI HID.
And it works over Bluetooth.
Without requiring any physical movements, which is perfect for people with paralysis.
And that's what they call, a psychic ability or telepathy in Neuralink's case, all right, where it allows your brain to talk to electronic devices, okay? And there's other things, all right, because we talked about the college kid from MIT who created the alter ego, where he was in this interview and he had this little, almost looks like a hearing device, okay, but, slightly larger. And so he would get asked a question by the interviewer. He would ask the computer or laptop or whatever the question, and it's all happening in his ear and in his mind or whatever. The computer would research it, and then it would give him the feedback in his ear, and then he would give the answer. Now, it doesn't look as fancy when you watch it. It just looks cool. But now, in the case where you couldn't see his device on his ear, and you also couldn't see the computer or the laptop, then it would really look like this man is psychic. He knows everything. I can ask him any question, any math equation, he has the answer. But really, he's relying on the computer to do it. All right. So, and there's other devices. Just kind of give you a little small example there. Okay.
Paralysis. BCI hit practically allows you to provide more feedback about their neural activity, gives them more options and context between the devices. It means that both systems understand more about each other, meaning that we can improve the performance of the BCI control as well as digital device control. Mark is the first person in the world to control an iPad through BCI HID. This means Mark himself can control many of the functions that required someone else just by thinking.
Nobody has to set up the system. No caregiver has to come over. They essentially the person just thinks and it turns on.
So Switch Control is Apple's accessibility function. It allows people with less control to be able to navigate through their iOS environment seamlessly. BCI HID also allows you to connect the brain signals directly to shortcuts. And what this means is that our users can simply assign a particular movement to a special function, like to return home, or send someone a message, or open up an email. It's simply a single thought away.
So now Mark is thinking, tap his index finger, and this is a shortcut right to the home screen of the Apple iPad. Another really unique thing about the BCI HID is it almost creates the ultimate privacy. So it's only your neural signals that are actually connecting to the computer itself. So no one else can interfere with that.
Through BCI HID, we can provide feedback of his neural activity directly, so then he can control things more intuitively.
So this says no one else can interfere with it. All right. So, I mean, I guess the purpose of that is for hackers, because hackers, I mean, anything electronic, that means it's all coded. So if it's coded, that means there's a way to decode. Okay. So are they saying that so hackers can't tap into you? All right. Okay. Understandable. Maybe hackers can't. But but here's the thing we always mention. All right. Which we usually talk about an example when we talk about blockchain. Yeah, everybody else is locked out of the blocks that you create with that other individual. But what about the person controlling the system? They're not going to be locked out of your transactions and, all your history and all those different things. Okay. So this is no different. Yeah, others may not be able to interfere with it, but they will be able to. And that's all they're doing. They're picking up your data. All right. They're learning you as if you were a machine. Okay. But really, they put their machine in you. And all they're doing is just recording your data, your thoughts, your whereabouts, your everything else that you can think of. Okay. It's all about control, man.
And more actively. The feedback is given through a visual cue.
Here's an example. Once switch control is activated, Mark can more easily navigate his device. When he lands on an app or a button that he would like to select, he'll see the strength of his neural signal represented by the color that's surrounding the box. The stronger the signal is, the more the box fills up.
So at all times, Mark can see the strength of his neural activity going up and down.
This is going to be critical for people that have an implantable brain-computer interface to understand that this is where they're trying to think and allows them to focus on that specific item. Being able to connect directly to the switch control functionality with this new BCI HID is really a game changer when it comes to accessibility.
Now, this also means huge benefits for the industry. Many devices that all of us use now also become readily accessible to paralyzed individuals. In the future, so long as you can control a BCI, that means you can control any digital device. Now, this is a big step towards the future where brain-computer interfaces become ubiquitous for digital device control. It means it opens up the ecosystem, it means more options for our users, and the usability skyrockets from this point on.
So this release is a massive milestone for not just Synchron and patients like Mark, for the BCI industry in its entirety. There's people now interacting with the computer in a whole new way.
And we know all these companies moving towards just Esau's, whole game plan of the microchip, man. And I didn't expect to actually play that video, so I'm glad I did. Very interesting. Yeah, I saw all this stuff. I want to get into that. We're not gonna read all of this. I want to go down here if I can find what I saw earlier. Maybe not. Things always change, don't it? Let me see here. Let me see if I can refresh. Okay, here it is. I passed it because they changed it. It didn't look like this before. Let me go over here to technology real quick. If I can find what I was looking for. Probably not. Like I said, dang. a few minutes ago, right? Didn't change that quick. Let me see. Just bear with me. Huh. See if I can back up. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I was in this. That's why. Yeah, let me jump down here because I wanted to look into something. Let me back up one more time. Here it is. So Synchron's BCI aims to restore the control of a touchscreen for patients with limited hand mobility using only their thoughts. All right, going back to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. All right, the lying signs of wonders, using only your thoughts. All right, a form of psychic abilities or telepathy or however they want to term it, right? So check this out. So the brain says the stentrode, which is what he was explaining in the video, electrode array that senses motor signal with blood vessel. All right, so they put it in by way of this small microscopic tube or whatever, and then as you saw in the video, when they release it, then it opens up to what you see here on the screen at the bottom left. All right, so that's the stentrode. Okay, and so you see all those little small dark gray boxes. Those are where, well, probably I can't say for sure because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure those are the sensors. All right, and the wires also play a part in that, probably by sending those signals, and capturing those signals, and then it gets sent back, wirelessly to their data banks. Because I mean, how else can you do it besides wirelessly, right? That Bluetooth in your brain. Now, remember when we played the video about Rodney, you see that little green thing coming down from the brain? Rodney had one of those things, or they would show, he didn't really have it. Well, actually, he probably did, but they showed it in like just like they're showing it now. Okay, in other words, they didn't really show the actual device, but just like, it's the same thing as they showed in Rodney's, basically what I'm trying to get to. So when you click on that, it says the IRT, sends and receives signals. Okay, and notice where its place is down like near your heart or whatever. Okay, now I'm not saying there's anything important about that. I'm just, saying, hey. And then you have your pad, right, app or smartphone or tablet that connects to the world. Okay, because that's your external device that maybe because you can't use your hands because your arms don't work or your hands don't work or whatever the case may be. So, you're able to access your smartphone, your computer, your tablet, your laptop by using your brain, via this implant. Okay. And then you have the SPU, processes and sends a signal to personal device. All right. So all these things work in tandem one with another. And this is the way that they give you the so-called psychic or telepathic ability. Okay. That's probably all I wanted from that. And the screen is getting jacked up right now, shaky or whatever. All right, let's get down here. As a matter of fact, maybe I can show them through that part. So let me back up from the screen. The screen is acting funny. There's the stentrode again. All right. You see how what the scripture say? They accomplish a diligent search. Okay. You see how small that device is? They have the ability to create a small, super microscopic small device. They're able to connect to your brain, to blood vessels, and things of that nature. All right. But they can't feed hungry homeless people and stuff like that. They can't find a missing little girl, But it's really not that they can't do these things. It's just that that's not where their mind is. All right, you have a wicked rulership. That is not what their mind is on. Okay. I know there was something else I wanted to see. Let me go to testimonials. It might be the same thing that we were at before. David Puccino's perspective, whoever this guy is. Yeah, see, patients with tetraplegia face unique and important health challenges due to the loss of autonomy that can occur with motor impairment. Implantable MNP BCIs hold promise to restore continuous autonomy through the restoration of motor intent transmission to control the digital environment. Basically, a bunch of big ass words to say the last part, right? To control the digital environment, because they want everything around you to be connected to a digital world, including you, because then it all connects back to him, Esau, Edom, or them, I should say. See, that's what it's all about. You know, all is fluff and frou is just fancy words to make a paragraph or a sentence. You know, patient story is I can no longer move my hands. I can ask my wife to feed me, bring me water, help me dress, move my pillows, and other activities. It's a great relief to know that if my voice goes, I will be able to text her my needs and can continue to tell her how much I love and appreciate her. Yeah, we got to do it first. We attack the heart, all right? Playing on people's emotions, all right? Because, yeah, there are people in the world who, some people are bound to the bed or they're bound to the wheelchair, and people have to get up, carry them to the bathtub, the wash them, get up, sit them at the kitchen table to feed them, pick them up, to take them here, there, because they can't move at all right? And so, yeah, the device may be beautiful to help a person, be able to communicate with the other individual because they can't talk. The only thing they can do is blink their eyes and stuff like that. Okay, but as we always mention, what is the real purpose? And that's the key thing that people overlook when you do it with Esau. All right. For as iron rusted, so is his wickedness, man. And at the end, he will declare his wickedness. So, and the scriptures tell you that if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. So, yeah, he's helping this person communicate with their loved ones, with the outside world. Oh, now I can do this, I can do that I couldn't do before, and I would never have been able to do. All right, but really, Esau doesn't care about that person. He only wants them hooked to his technology, because then that hooks them to him. And then now you fall into the pit, you fall into the trap. Okay? So we know we got you because you took the device. So now all we got to do is just issue the microchip. You'll be along with it, because if you took my brain one, I know you take the other one, because that's the main one, the recorded in Revelation 13, 16, 17, and 18. That's the main device. Okay? And second to that is what we're talking about here, these brain chips and stuff like that. Okay? But if a person would take the brain chip, because we played off their emotions, then we don't have to even push hard for them to get the other device, the main one that we want them to take. See? It says play video. I don't know if I want to play it or not. What's up here? How long was it? 3 minutes. The future of communication is brain. Oh, you have to pause it. I'm just gonna read it for you. See, did we mention that? Bluetooth, it works like a brain Bluetooth.
Something we think is going to be transformative. Technology capable of streaming direct thought for people who, through injury or disease, have lost the capacity to move or speak.
See?
Brain-computer interfaces are a technology that record from a particular area of the brain called the motor cortex.
It's a progressive disease that will eventually cause me to lose my voice and the use of my limbs. But I've embarked on a trial using a Stentrode device.
The promise and the hope of this technology is to regain independence for people who have lost their physical independence. What we're doing differently is using the blood vessels as the natural highway into the brain and lacing the inside of the blood vessels with electrodes or sensors that can record activity from the brain. Those signals travel through a lead that exits out the body through telemetry unit that goes into a computer, and those signals can be interpreted by the computer into different types of actions or commands.
When the system's connected, we'll be able to see the neural signal flowing through, and we'll spend some time studying those signals while the participant performs specific movements or the participant thinks about performing those movements.
We can translate these signals into switches or clicks. If a patient really wants to use the computer, for example, we can offer them a mouse click, and they can start using the mouse as they would have before they were paralyzed.
That platform then is like a Bluetooth out of your brain to control a computer or a device where there is no need for a keyboard or a mouse. This is a truly hands-free, brain-controlled platform.
So Graham can right now surf the web, write up Word documents, check his emails, do basically everything that a person normally can on a computer, using nothing but his brain and his eyes.
Even now, I find it a bit mind-boggling that he can do that. I sort of got the concept of what they're doing, but how it's working, I still find it a little bit awe-inspiring, actually.
The best way this goes is that someone who's had a severe injury, who has had the best part of their life ripped away from them in terms of independence, gets control back in a way that lets them be their best person. We've done the first step, and it's really exciting to think about where it's going to go next.
All right, so that was probably a more older video because it says, about the iPad, which we already, that was new. And that's pretty much it for, I don't know. I think we already saw this technology. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. No, we're not done yet. Just saying that this particular session, this particular portion here. But before we go, I want to do this real quick. So maybe we can help, let's go over here to A. All right. So for those of you that may not know exactly, we're just going to hit a question. All right. So, we can all, because this is all about understanding these things, more better. So what I'll do for you is tap in, what was I about to ask? Okay. What is the motor cortex? Because we talk about motor functions and things of that nature. All right. So you can be more familiar with these things. Is it thinking? Not sure. Okay, now it's thinking. I believe it is. Let me see. Oh, there we go. All right, so it says the motor cortex is a crucial region of the cerebral cortex located in the frontal lobe, primarily responsible for the planning, control, and execution of voluntary movements. All right, so now you have with just that alone, you should have a better understanding of why we mention, motor functions, all right? Neurological pathways, when we're talking about signals, the electrical signals that your brain fires off to tell your fingers, to your hand to move, your toes to wiggle, your legs to walk, all right? Your eyes to blink, okay? These things happen, quicker than a human can imagine because there's a signal that fires off, goes to that place, comes back, right? Then it happens, all right? So it says it sits immediately anterior to the central sulcus. Components of the motor cortex. The motor cortex is broadly divided into two main territories: the primary motor cortex and the non-primary motor cortex. The non-primary motor cortex further includes the premotor cortex and the supplementary motor area. All right, which I just want to get the portions dealing with the signals and stuff. Like I said, signals from the primary motor cortex cross over to control muscles on the opposite side of the body. All right, that was on the primary motor cortex, the M1. Premotor cortex says mirror neurons, which are active both when performing an action and observing someone else perform it, were first discovered. Okay, so that's right there. Yeah, this is all, you just have to read up on yourself. What's this? Matter of fact, let's do one more. Let's do this. What is the motor functions? Let's do that. And then we'll move on. All right, motor functions refer to the regulation and execution of movements in organisms with a nervous system. See? It says these functions encompass a wide range of actions, from conscious voluntary movements to subconscious muscle memory and involuntary reflexes. They are crucial for interacting with the environment, maintaining posture, balance, and stability. The brain's motor system, primarily located in the frontal lobes, orchestrates these movements. It involves a complex interplay of various brain regions, including the prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, premotor cortex, going back to the last one we had, right? Supplementary motor area, the SMA, motor cortex, basal ganglia, and cerebellum. Each hemisphere of the motor cortex controls movements on the opposite side of the body. Motor functions are facilitated by specialized nerve cells called motor neurons, all right? Which, matter of fact, we'll get one more. We'll get one more now. I'm thinking about it. Which transmit electrical signals from the brain and spinal cord to woo-wee. You see? And this is what we always break down when we talk about this. Which transmit electrical signals from the brain and spinal cord to muscles and glands. And that's where the magic happens. Your brain tells your body what to do. All right, because in your brain sits what? The spirit, the seat, the soul. All right, like they show you in the Alien movie, where it was a baby alien inside this, the head of the big alien, because the big alien was nothing but a outer shell or exoskeleton or whatever. All right, it was just a big ugly gray thing with tentacles, but inside it was a small little alien with big black eyes. That's how your soul is inside of your body. All right, because your soul is up there where your brain is, okay, your spirit, and the body is simply a shell, okay, that we're placed into in the earth when the Lord, sends that spirit back down. But that's a whole other topic, right? Let's keep going. It says, which transmit electrical signals from the brain and spinal cord to muscles and glands. These neurons are categorized into upper motor neurons originating in the brain or brain stem, and lower motor neurons connecting directly to muscle fibers. The process involves the release of neurotransmitters like acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction, triggering muscle contraction. Motor skills, which are muscle movements used daily, are developed over time through repetition and practice, right? That's why, a baby is backpedaling when it's learning how to walk, because it doesn't know how to walk, all right? It has to learn how to walk. And once you learn how to walk, you get better at it. You waddle like a penguin, and to the point where you walk like everyone else, normal, okay? And then it's a normal part of your life, okay? Writing with a pencil, it becomes a normal part of your life. But first, you hold it all funny, this big ass, kindergarten pencil, and you're just scrabbling, all right? But you get better at it, okay? Because you're basically, your mind is training your body, all right, to do the things that it was designed to do, all right, to make it seem normal, okay? So like everything in the world, all right, it's a process, but it takes repetition, okay, to get better at it, all right, to the point where it just becomes normal, okay? And no different from, like, if you talk about someone playing sports, all right? Brothers talk about guys like Jordan and Kobe and stuff like that. They're going to shoot those shots till they're shooting 100 shots in a row, and they didn't miss not one of them. Or maybe if they did, it was like a couple, okay? Because they train repetitious at these things over and over and over. That's how your body is, right? Let me see. It says motor skills, which are muscle movements used daily, are developed over time through repetition and practice. They are broadly classified in two categories. Fine motor skills. These involve small muscle groups, require high precision, and often involve eye-hand coordination, such as writing or picking up. You see? Look, you see? Yeah? See, we just used that example, writing. See? Writing or picking up small objects. Okay? Yeah, like you see daggone Chinese movie with a Chinaman, with some chopsticks, and he's just sitting there and he caught the fly. Well, that's an example of that, right? Mr. Miyagi caught the fly with chopsticks, right? That was him, using what he has and zoning in, all right, on a higher level, all right? It says gross motor skills. It says these involve larger muscle groups in the arms, legs, and core, enabling bigger actions like walking, running, or jumping, all right? Basically, one word to sum that up, muscles, all right? Muscles. And if you ever seen like a I guess you call it a diagram, where you see the nervous system and all those different things. So most people are not even familiar with these things. They don't know what the heck is going on, all right? But the whole nervous system but this is why we're breaking it down, all right? The neurological functions, the nervous system, the motor cortex, the motor functions, neurological pathways, electrical signals, all these different things, they are all in tandem one with another, okay? It says the development of motor skills follows specific milestones in children, with gross motor skills typically developing before fine motor skills. Damage to the motor system, such as from stroke or injury, can impair motor functions, leading to weakness, poor coordination, and other issues. And now this is where those devices like Synchron and Neuralink and other, companies like that come in, all right? Because they're saying that, hey, we can fix these things. See? So it says, leading to weakness, poor coordination, and other issues. However, here we go. However, the brain's neuroplasticity allows for reorganization and potential recovery of some lost functions through rehabilitation. All right. And after the end of that, there was one more I wanted to get. I almost forgot about it because we read the whole thing there. Oh yeah, yep, I know what it was. Let me punch up. Let's do this. Define neurological pathways. I think that's what I was going to ask you. If not, that's the question we have now. We're going to roll with that one. All right. It's thinking. Is it still thinking? Okay, here it is. A neural pathway, also known as neurological pathway, is a connection formed by axons that project from neurons to make synapses onto neurons in another location, enabling neurotransmission, right? Then they speak about transmission, right? So these pathways are essentially the communicating highways of the central nervous system. Now it shows you how extremely important that is, all right? It is the, let me read it again. These pathways are essentially the communicating highways, those signals, all right? That's the information being sent, the data being sent, all right? And the neurological pathways are the highway that those signals travel on, okay? These pathways are essentially the communicating highways of the central nervous system, the CNS, facilitating the transmission of electrical impulses. Oh, see, that's a word that we've used many times before, the electrical impulses, see? So it's all here, all right? So now, it's all coming together, right? It says, and information throughout the body. Come on, man, see? I said data, they said information. It's all the same, man. They are fundamental to all bodily functions, from simple reflexes to complex cognitive processes like thinking, learning, and memory. See, let's say how they put the word cognitive there, because it all goes back to your brain, the signals that your brain fires off, and it goes everywhere else throughout all your body, your neurological pathways, your everything. It connects everything, and everything comes back connected to the brain, and that is what makes your body move. And the thing that controls the brain is you, yourself, your spirit, all right? Which I guess is all one and the same in a sense, but you get the point. Neural pathways are composed of bundles of axons, which are long, thread-like extensions of neurons that transmit electrical impulses away from the neuron's cell body. These impulses travel across tiny gaps called synapses, where chemical messengers called neurotransmitters are released to pass the signal to the next neuron's dendrites, branch-like structures that receive signals. Okay? Which is why you see, I keep saying that over, like, just look at a nervous system, for example. It looks like what? A tree, all right? You have a root, and then you have branches, and then you have stems off of each branches. So, your get my words jumbled up, your nervous system looks just like a tree. Like, just imagine a tree without the leaves on it, like a tree in the autumn time, in the fall, all right? So that's how your whole nervous system looks. Okay. It says the repeated use of neural pathways strengthens the synaptic connections, a process known as synaptic plasticity, which is crucial for learning and memory formation, which is what we just read in the other thing. All right. Look, neural pathways can be located entirely within the brain, connecting various structures, or they can link the brain and the spinal cord. Pathways connecting the brain and spinal cord are categorized as ascending tracts, which carry sensory information from the periphery to the brain, and descending tracts, which transmit motor commands from the brain to muscles. Examples include the dorsal column, medial lemniscus pathway, ascending sensory, and the corticospinal, corticospinal tract, descending motor. The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections and rerouting signals along different neural pathways is known as neuroplasticity. And see that, wow. Hold up, we got one. Wait, we got one. Light it up. See, because this is exactly what Esau does with this microchip. He takes what is supposedly broken, all right, because the brain will still send off and fire those signals. But if your legs don't work, your legs are not going to move. No matter how many signals, all right, your brain fires to your legs to tell it to get up and walk, all right, to your spinal cord to tell it to stand up and walk. See? So through his technology, this is what he's doing. Let's read this. The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections. So Esau is forming the new connection through his device, right? And doing what? Rerouting the signals through your neurological pathways, right? But now the pathways through his device. So that's the new pathway to connect your brain signal through his new pathway, which is through his technology, back to your spinal cord or to your legs or whatever. And now you can find use in them. Man, you can't make this up, man. It says rerouting signals along different neural pathways is known as neuroplasticity. Now, there's a small case, I have to mention that, where maybe someone's in an accident, or maybe, they had some kind of surgery, spinal cord surgery. I've had surgery with my spinal cord, my rotator cuff, all that kind of good stuff there, right? So afterwards, when you wake up, I'm not saying every example, I'll just use my case for example. When you wake up, you can't walk, okay? So I had to learn how to walk again, okay? And it starts what? You see this in the movies, like Kill Bill, stuff like that. Wiggle your big toe, wiggle your big toe. Well, that's real life, man, all right? You cannot move those legs, man. Not that your legs don't work, but you have to retrain your legs. And it starts with the wiggle of your toes. When you can wiggle your toes, you'll move your feet. When you can move your feet, you can start to train your legs, man. And once you train your legs, then the pain comes and your ass is on that treadmill, you in that walker, you using that cane, and that hurts. I'll just tell you the truth because I've been through it. But you get the point though, all right? One more time. The brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections and rerouting signals along different neural pathways is known as neuroplasticity. This adaptability allows for recovery from injury, learning new skills, and the formation of habits. The concept of neural pathways has also inspired the development of artificial neural networks in machine learning, though biological neural networks are far more complex. All right, so, man, that was a lot there, but hey, Spirit was on me to just keep rolling with those. So hopefully you learn more, but as of now, give me a quick pause because I'm gonna pull up a couple things they're brief, but we'll get into it, all right? All right, we're back. All right, so you're joining me now in my little studio here, and I haven't edited these clips yet, but I will before I upload it because I also have to add this lesson that we're doing right here now live. All right, but we'll play this video. We'll pause it if we need be, and if not, we'll just roll it on out. And this first one is concerning China and their robots and stuff. All right, so
China is the world leader in drone production. As such, its military, the People's Liberation Army, is busy incorporating all sorts of militarized drones into its ranks. The latest such iteration includes packs of roving robo-wolves.
Oh, yeah.
Chinese state media recently published video from a PLA drill, which featured Chinese dismounted soldiers operating with some QUGVs. Yes, it's another new acronym, which stands for Quadrupedal Unmanned Ground Vehicle. QUGVs, also called robo-dogs, are pretty common in military, national defense, or civil protection circles. I've been to several defense expos in the last few years, and there's always a few robo-fidos fetching some looks. In the civilian world, they can be used for search and rescue operations, carrying extra equipment, surveying dangerous locations, or simply for entertainment. In the military, a RoboDog's mission set may include many of the same things as in the civilian world, but the stakes are higher, so surveying a field might involve clearing mines, locating tripwires, or finding enemy forces and potentially engaging them in a more direct way. PLA says its new batch of robo-dogs are beefier than earlier models, with improved reconnaissance and strike capabilities. So the PLA will now call them robo-wolves. During a conflict, the PLA says the robo-wolves would act like a pack of real hunters, dividing tasks and coordinating actions. One unit would act as the pack leader, relaying target info to other wolves that would do the actual biting, or shooting, as the case may be. Now, again, Again, China is far from the first country to experiment with QUGVs. The United States and others have done some pretty extensive testing and experimentation on their own, and through that discovered that robo-dogs or robo-wolves or robo-likers, whatever we want to call them, they all have some pretty severe limitations.
Now, before we move on, I'm going to mention, because, a scripture came to mind as I was playing the video. One particular scripture, which is in the Apocrypha, where it's concerning Jacob's trouble, where it says, the bride shall mourn having no husband, so on and so forth. All right, because the men are going to die in the war and from the famine. Okay, and so you have to understand, if they start to use these things on the battlefield amidst World War III, man, it is going to get super, super deadly, super bloody. All right, because you're fighting against people, jets, and then you're also fighting against robots. All right, robot dogs, actual robots, men with exoskeletons on, exosuits, and it's going to get very, very crazy. Okay. But at the end of it, we know, of course, it says this shall be by burning and fuel of fire, by missiles and nuclear missiles, all right? But I'm just making a point, all right? So if they have something like this that they intend to use on the battlefield in World War III, okay, that's one thing. Now, the other thing that I thought about is on a lesser level, because there's going to be chaos, man, Jacob's trouble. That's going to be everywhere around the whole entire planet. So what happens if they start to roll these things out through the cities? All right, because they already presented you with robot dogs. We know they have sniper rifles on the back, assault rifles on the back, flamethrowers on the back. All right, they probably be fitted and kitted with other things as well that they're not telling us about right now. All right, but what happens when they send them? The robot dog is one thing, but now they're sending out a pack of wolves, because they've basically taken wolves and the mind and the mental strategy of wolves and placed it in several different machines and rolling them out as a pack. Right, that's crazy. Then they show you that in the Jurassic World movies. All right, where the dude was right before they were going out on their final mission. All right, he was talking to they put the devices on the Velociraptor's head. All right, and the boy's like, what's their names? It's like, oh, that's Blue, that's Delta, and so on and so forth. And he's like, where's the Alpha? He's like, looking at him, kid. All right. So who is the Alpha? It's Esau, or whoever is controlling it at that point. That's the Alpha. And it's sending a pack of wolves out in the midst of the streets of the people, all right, in that war, all right? So when we speak about Jacob's trouble, as I said this before, it's going to be way worse than what we can ever read about in the scriptures. It's a guideline. The scriptures are a guideline to warn us of how bad it's going to be. But the actuality of how bad it's going to be is going to be actually 10 times worse than what we imagine, what we read about, okay? And we're all going to be in it. Don't let the church lie to you. You ain't getting taken away from nothing. Acts 14:22, through much tribulation. Your faith has to be tested. So if they're saved already, where is faith? Because they keep talking about faith, all right? They scream out faith all the time. Faith, right? Okay, well, how you going to test your faith? Because the scriptures talk about your faith being tested. How's your faith being tested if you're taken up from the trouble? It makes no sense, man. All right, so don't let the churches fool you. Don't let them lie to you. But let's finish the video.
Payload capacity and the inability to manipulate certain objects in their environment are some concerns. If you put an assault rifle on the back of one, it cannot reload the weapon on its own. Some versions have belt-fed weapons, which let you throw more rounds downrange, but they're also heavier, so you're going to lose a bit of maneuverability. And more weight means more power usage, which is probably the biggest drawback I've heard on the expo floors from some of the men and women asked to use these things in real life. Battery life is a problem. Moving on the ground, over obstacles, and through the elements while hauling a load takes a lot of energy. And if you're putting your life in the paws of a robo best friend, you want to make sure it won't need a recharge right when the bullets or missiles start flying. Maybe that's why in the U.S. military, for the most part, QUGVs are being used to augment security patrols or conduct some limited reconnaissance or in explosive ordnance disposal roles. That's not to say the U.S. and its allies are not pursuing other attack drone options, quite the opposite, but the U.S. and Europe seem to prefer aerial attack drones at the moment. Like this one that BAE Systems just used to fire a laser-guided APKWS rocket at another flying drone. But you could have just as easily been a UGV that was blown up. All of that to say that while robo-dogs and their larger robo-wolf cousins definitely have a role to play in today's drone-laden militaries, the idea that there will be large packs of robo-canids conducting warfare on behalf of their human masters is still a little bit more science fiction than science fact. For more reports...
Yeah, that's what he says, okay? Meanwhile, they actually got him, though. Hey, don't listen to this guy, man. All right, as a matter of fact, we can skip all that. So here's the next video. Let's roll right into it.
Too tired to make your morning coffee? Or maybe you need a hand moving boxes. At a store in Beijing, there's a robot for that. The store features over 100 robots from more than 40 Chinese brands, such as Ubitech Robotics and Unitree Robotics. It's among China's first to sell humanoid and consumer-oriented robots, reflecting on the country's ambition to lead in AI and robotics. Store director Wang Yifan describes the store as 4S. He says it will offer sales, spare parts, maintenance, and survey services, like a car dealership. Wang says the bot's prices range from about $278 to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Prices are still too high, he says, adding that costs should come down once orders start coming in and companies establish production lines. China's focus on robotics aims to address challenges, such as an aging population and slowing growth. The sector has been bolstered by generous subsidies, exceeding $20 billion over the past year, while Beijing plans a $137 billion fund to support AI and robotic startups.
So I spent a lot of money for this stuff, man. All right. Eventually, they're gonna have people having sex with robots and stuff. They're trying to make you into a robot somewhat. All right. That what Dr. Evil said, a fusion of man and machine. Well, that's through his technologies, man. All right, his brain, hips, and the one he wants to put into your body, man. That's his way of fusing man and machine, and he's going to be above that because he's not going to take the devices. He's going to have you take it, or he wants the world to take it so he can have control of them because their ideal goal is to play God, right? That's what they want. That's what the scriptures talk about. See, they want to be God. They want to sit in the seat of God. All right. See, the churches don't know what they're talking about because they tell you some antichrist figures coming up. What the scriptures say, there's many antichrists. It ain't just one guy. These are the banker families, okay? See, they can't break those things down to you because they don't know what the hell they're talking about, all right? But, the prophets are warning over and over and over. And this is the whole point of why we do these AI chats. To talk about his devices, keep up with them, see how far along, or see if there's something new, and so on and so forth, man. All right, so that you can be edified by it, and Lord will that you were edified by this video, because we're going to end it here. That's it for this AI chat. So Lord will you edify. To that, I'm going to say shalom.